Hello, hi
Working
Karen.
now. Yep,
Okay,
we're all good.
fantastic. Great, good to be here. So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thank you all for joining us this bright and sunny morning. Don't know, is it
Or
bright and
cloudy.
sunny where you are, Karen?
Not in the slightest, but it's dry. That's about all we can ask for in Scotland sometimes.
Okay, so we're here this morning with Karen Reyburn, Managing Director of the Profitable Firm, and myself, Vipul Sheth, and I'm from Advanced Track. So, okay, let's go. Let me just move on. Hopefully, everyone can hear us. Can you just raise your hands, just so that I know that you can all hear us? So, if you wouldn't mind.
Or type something into the chat box.
Yeah. Great. Lots of hands going up. So that's a good, because otherwise in the instructions that you got, there is telephone sound if necessary. So, okay, let's go. Let's go. Okay.
Oh, Seth has lovely and sunny. That's nice, Seth. Just share the wealth. Share the wealth.
So I'm Vipul Sheth, MD of Advanced Track, Chartered Accountant, Chartered Tax Advisor, and basically I've worked regional firm, a couple of big ones, and then set up Advanced Track. But less about me and a little bit more about what's going to happen over the next hour or so. This is recorded, so if you need to come back and listen to any of it, it'll be on our website in the next sort of 24 to 48 hours. Feel free to ask questions, use the chat feature. And Seth says it's lovely and sunny where he is, birds in the trees and green field view. So that's great. So ask lots of questions. Hopefully we'll get to sort of do that. Just a quick intro. Karen, you can add things in as you see fit. What we're hoping to cover off in the next hour was a bit of intro about who you are, processes that let firms down in terms of what happens in marketing, some of the best steps that firms can follow, building an achievable plan, priorities, and whether you should outsource or have it in-house. So that's what I was hoping to cover. A little bit about you, Karen. Just sort of talk to the audience, say who you are, what you've done, and then we'll kick off.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't met me, hi to everyone. I own the Profitable Firm, and we're a creative agency that works exclusively and only with accountants. And we love working with accountants because we know that you guys have so much potential with the relationships that you have with your clients and your prospects. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because you guys are brilliant at relationships with clients. And I want to help you look at your relationships with prospects so that you can actually get some marketing done. The other thing about the work that we do at Profitable Firm and the work that I do is I'm a qualified accountant. I qualified in the States. We work exclusively with accountants. I've been doing this for many, many years. And there are some patterns and some themes that we just keep seeing over and over. And in our experience, actually getting the marketing done is the hardest part about marketing, or it can feel like the hardest part, which is exactly why I set up the company, because it struck me that there's so many people out there telling you guys what to do and even how to do it, but then you always get swamped with client work and things like this, and you can certainly type into the chat box if that's been your experience. So what I want to look at today is how we help you do some practical things to actually begin actioning some marketing things in your firm.
That's great. That was going to be one of my questions. We're kind of all busy at the coalface, so the bits that are not part of our core day-to-day work, they kind of not get lost, but they just kind of drop in priority. And I guess this is about how to make sure that that activity carries on regardless of whether you yourself are actually taking ownership of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. Okay, so I think, Karen, if you want to kind of switch to your slides.
Sure, let's do that. There we go. Is that working for you?
Yeah, that's great.
Super. So I'm going to fire away with some of the things that we've found really work when it comes to accountants and those that want to get marketing done. But please do put in anything throughout this, and I'll either answer it during or towards, wherever it fits in. I think the first thing, I'll skip all this stuff, we talked about it. The first thing I want to address is exactly what Vipul just said there is, well, I don't have time. I don't have time for marketing. I've got these clients, emails, projects. I got prospects coming in. I want to address that. Just Jeff is saying this. You got loads of ideas. That's exactly it. You've got loads of ideas. And I want to encourage you, before we look at the getting marketing done, first I want to encourage you guys, remind yourself that you guys are great at ideas. You really are. And I think this is something, I know this is something that accountants diminish their own capabilities on and go, well, I'm not very creative. I'm not a marketer. But as Jeff says, and many of my clients are the same, you guys do have ideas. You have tons of ideas. Many of them are brilliant. And you're thinking, how do I implement them? And which ones are the most important? And that's one of the things I want to address. This is one of those topics I could genuinely talk on all day long. So I'm going to try and pack in as much as I can into an hour for you. One of the things I want to ask you guys, because we know that it's a lie that we don't have time. We know that that's a lie because we make time for the things that are important. You guys have heard it before. This is not rocket science to hear this. But I think it's important for us to step back and say, why is it that we don't have time or make time for marketing particularly? So, thinking about today or this week, and even type it into the chat box. What one thing do you absolutely, no holds barred, come hell or high water, have to get done this week, either personal or in the firm? Just type it in. I was thinking about some of mine, and one of them is we have to finish prep for our GDPR webinar we're running tomorrow. We have to do that because it's running tomorrow for our clients, and we've got to finish it, or else we won't have anything to say to all these clients that show up. Another one is I have to go to the dentist. I don't want to go to the dentist. I hate going to the dentist, but I make that a priority because I've learned from experience what happens when you skip that appointment. So I would encourage you to think about it, type it in the chat box if you have a second, but what is it that you will absolutely do this week? Vipul, what's yours? What is your must absolutely happen this week?
We have our sort of final external review of our GDPR work, and that's happening tomorrow, whether I choose for it to happen or not.
Yeah.
I mean, the team have already done the work. So, yep. But the important bit is we know it's everything comes in a few weeks' time, but we've been prepared for a long time. We've just had to go through a process of making sure it's all documented, and we can then move forward from there. So yeah, that's this week. That's this week's big one.
So there's already a theme there with my things and Vipul's things and a couple other people. I mean, Jeff's just put in, he has to go to hospital. That is a perfect example and exactly the kind of thing we're talking about. That's not the kind of thing that you put off for good reason. And one of the themes I'm seeing already is the things that we absolutely prioritize have a deadline to them. They have a date. They have a time. There is a major consequence, we know from experience, if we don't do them. And the challenge that you guys often face with marketing is there is no deadline. You can write a blog or you can not write a blog. You can record a video, you can run an event or not, but the deadline stuff always wins. So as you're thinking about marketing, I want to encourage you to think about that, because if you can either put your own deadlines in or get somebody else to create a deadline that you can be accountable to, that will defeat a lot of this I don't have marketing time, because it will push you. I am a big fan of deadlines because I get stuff done by deadline. I'd say not every single time, bar none, not perfect, but most of the time I will hit a deadline, usually a few minutes or an hour before. That's the way I work, and it helps me a lot. So if somebody says, hey, Karen, can you contribute a blog to our site? And I go, yeah, sure, I'd love to. When do you, anytime's fine. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to help me. I need a date. If you say it's tomorrow, I will get it done tomorrow. If you say it's in 3 months, I'll get it done in 3 months. If you say anytime, it will always drop to the bottom of the list. And I'm presuming you guys are the same. So I want to bring you back to the why, because, and I actually wrote a blog on this. Tom, maybe you could look it up. I wrote it about the reasons that hold you back, and it isn't time. It's usually things like fear. Like, I'm not sure, I don't want to record a video, I'm scared of that, so I'll put that off. Or confusion, I don't really know what I'm doing, you know, what's the point of a blog anyway? And the why that sits behind it. Why are you actually doing this marketing? And for a lot of accountants, you're finding that when you look at the marketing thing that's sitting in front of you, whether you know it or not, this question can hold you back. And if you don't have utmost confidence in why you're doing this, it's going to fall to the bottom of the list. So I want to encourage you guys to think about this today in this webinar and ongoing. Think about why you're doing it and get yourself a deadline. If you listen to nothing else in the webinar, those two things will help you significantly as you go through it. So this is something that I've been working on, and if you've been on our marketing masterclass, which is free, by the way, it's 4 sessions on the things that make or break accountant marketing. I'm actually going to be speaking at Vipul's Advanced Track Client Conference on that topic. But so if you've attended that, this will be familiar to you. The portion of it is what accountants often start with in marketing is all the stuff. So the blog posts, the videos, the social posts, the website, and you're thinking, that's what I need to do. I need to get this marketing stuff done. And what I want to encourage you to is to back up through the layers to what is behind that stuff. Because as I said, if you don't understand the why, but back up for a second, if you don't understand the why, then the stuff will never get done, or it won't get done in the way that you want it to. So, and I actually put this together. I was working with somebody who does presentation training, and she was working through with me, when you do a presentation, the title of your talk or the gist of your talk is usually the bottom layer, and there are things behind that, and the further you go back tells you the core of it. So the marketing stuff you guys want to do, that's just the basic level there. What's behind that is, what's your message? What are you actually saying to your prospects and clients? And what media are you using? Are you doing it in video? Are you doing it in a blog? Is it a website page? Is it social posts? And it's tempting, again, to stop there and go, okay, I got this. That's cool. This is for prospects. It's for dentists. And I'm going to do a video for them. But what's behind that is you're actually building trust with your prospects. And you know that in your head. But when you know that that is the goal of what you're doing, building trust, it changes the content of what you do and the stuff that you do, because it actually relieves stress a little bit, because you don't have to put out a landing page and get 3 leads tomorrow. You know that trust takes a long time to build. It's the most important thing that you can build in your accountancy firm with your prospects. And for some people, they'll trust you quickly. Other people, it will take years. I talked to a firm a couple days ago. Actually, it was last week. I was at their offices up in Dundee, and he was showing me a stack of paper that one of his clients said, oh, they sent me my accounts, this big stack of paper with a bunch of tabs. And they said, well, this is kind of discouraging. I don't know what these accounts mean, and I guess I just sign here. And he said, well, that's terrible. You need to understand what your accounts mean, and why paper? Like, oh my goodness, come on, it's 2018. And he recorded a video. He had blanked out the name of the accountancy firm and the client, but he showed the paper, and he said, listen, if your accountant is sending you this, ask them these questions. So he wasn't saying, you don't need to work with your accountant, work with us. He just said, listen, I just want to challenge you to ask your accountant, why are you sending me paper? And why aren't you explaining what these things mean? Why do I just go to the tab and sign as if this doesn't have any impact on my life and business? And he said he got 2 specific people who emailed him after he put that video out that said, listen, I want to chat to you. I want to chat to you about working with you guys. I like your approach. And he said one of them said the magic words, I trust you. And he said that person has known us for 10 years, known me personally for 10 years, But this video hit the point of this. So if we go back to this one, that media and that message hit the point of what this person was doing. And then they said, I trust you because I know you, and the media and the message match. And so what you're ultimately building is a relationship with your prospects. And
Karen, can I just...
Yeah, fire away.
Sorry, can I just jump in there for one moment? Would you say that doing that with passion, genuine passion, actually comes through and helps build that trust a lot more?
So much. And I know that this is something accountants struggle with, because you guys, when you're sitting in front of your clients, have or me, you know, you have so much enthusiasm and you do have that passion, and it doesn't always translate. Maybe the blogs on your website are about dry topics about tax and they have all these tables. That doesn't convey this enthusiasm that you have. And one of the things that accountants are so great at is building relationship with clients, but you may feel that it's not worthwhile to bother building a relationship with a prospect because they're not paying you yet. And whilst I agree that you're not to give them your services for free, you know, you don't reply to a prospect and tell them everything that they're to do with their taxes. You can reply for 2 seconds to say, well, here's a blog I wrote on this. I mean, we try to show that by example. Like Tom has just shared the blog about time isn't your biggest challenge. I wrote that blog because I keep saying it over and over. So there it is. And that's what we want to encourage you guys to do, so that you build this relationship with your prospects. So when they are ready, they will take that trust and they will listen to the message within the media. And so all of that is so critical to the stuff that you do. If you don't have this in mind, this relationship return concept, if all you're thinking is ROI in terms of money, then it's going to be really tough for you to be motivated to do this stuff. But when you think about every blog you write, every video you put out, every landing page, every tweak to your website, everything helps build trust and relationship, then you can see a bigger point to it. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about, they were saying, well, okay, I need to track things, and I'll talk about that a little later in today's webinar. What things do you track, and how do you know if stuff is working? And I said, first, you track everything. Just track everything you possibly can and look for patterns. But secondly, I said, the way to know that things working is not whether you got a lead from it. Ali doesn't look at that video he put out and go, oh, video is good because I put out one video and got 2 leads. That's not how it works. How it works is, I put out that video and people engaged with me in some way. Maybe it was an actual lead. Maybe it was just a comment. Maybe it was somebody 3 weeks later going, Ali, I saw that video and it caused me to really think. You've got to be alert to those kind of connections that people have. So I just wanted to put that in there for the beginning, because everything we talk about is going to be useless to you if you're not understanding this root level concept that we're talking about. And there's hours of this stuff in our free marketing masterclass that Tom gave you a link to. As I said, those are the things that make or break accountancy firm marketing. So feel free to go and listen to those. They're all recorded, so you can listen to them at whatever speed you want. Some of you will be familiar with what we're now calling the book. When it comes to content marketing for accountants, this is the book. I love that somebody else wrote it. Part of me wishes I wrote it, but I love that somebody else wrote it, because I can say, go buy it. Don't question me. Buy it. I have so many accountants that have said, this has revolutionized, completely changed my thinking on marketing, and it got me excited. Seth would like to also say, just buy this. Actually, that just came to panelists, so if you want to resend that to everyone, Seth. And I love hearing that from accountants, because it's the first book in almost 20 years of working with accountants that have gotten accountants excited and coming up with ideas. So if you want to get marketing done, buy this book. But the reason that it's so amazing is because of what Marcus says in there, is that content marketing, it's not about selling. It's not about promoting. It's not about recording a video and telling people to do business with you. You're teaching and you're problem solving, and it's all about trust. So when you understand that, and this is again back to our relationship, when you understand that, then it changes your attitude towards getting marketing done. I have firms that have gotten lists of blog post ideas from their team, from the other accountants in their team because of this book. I mean, this is something accountants have been struggling with for ages. I'm the only one doing anything. Nobody else in the firm is supporting me. And it takes time. You know, I've had other accountants say, I gave copies to people in my firm and they haven't read it yet. That's okay. You've got to have the same approach to the other people in your firm as you do towards your prospects. So having that mindset and having that consciousness that you're building relationship, you're teaching, you're helping, just being available, let them come when they're ready. That really helps people to connect and engage with you. Because remember, a lot of accountants we work with in marketing have been burned when it comes to marketing. Vipul has the same thing. A lot of accountants come to Advanced Track and they've had bad experiences with outsourcing. And they're starting from a place of distrust. Your prospects many of them feel the same about accountants. They've had a bad accountant. They've been treated badly. They didn't know a good accountant existed. Think about how you feel about, I mean, I've had clients who come to me and they're like, Karen, I think you're great. I like what you're saying, but I don't know, you know, there was this other guy that sounded great and they really let me down. That's why you're doing videos and blogs and everything, so that there's an accumulation, so that when they're ready, they can come to you. Did you have any comments on that, Vipul? I know you guys.
I feel exactly the same, and we almost feel like we apologize for the whole industry.
It's true, we do.
Every conversation that not every, but a number of conversations that we have, it's almost like, yeah, we tried it, and there was this issue or there was that issue, and it actually, in our world, many clients don't actually know what good service is or great service is. And because many firms, and we may have even worked in such firms in our early professional careers, where actually compliance was everything, and actually what you described, where you have little post-it notes saying sign here, I've seen that personally.
It still happens. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's worrying, because I stopped working for other people a long time ago. So the fact that it still happens, that really is worrying. Before we move on, Karen, Anne raised her hand, and I have kind of sent her a message just to say,
okay.
So Anne, if you wouldn't mind coming back to us with whatever query it is on the chat, that would be great. Please carry on.
Yeah. So, and as Vipul says, in one way it's worrying, but another way it's exciting, because the more accountants out there that are doing it badly, more opportunity for you. And we were just talking to a firm in the States yesterday. It was really hilarious, because she is part of our accelerator program. She's like, I like the way you guys approach marketing and selling in England. And I thought that was kind of funny, because I'm like, well, I'm in Scotland and we got people all over the UK and the whole world. And I said, this is not an English thing. This is not a UK thing. This is a global thing, but a lot of accountants haven't picked up on it. And what she was addressing is this: it's not about sales, telemarketing, etc. It's about teaching and problem solving to build trust. But I won't belabor that one, but please do bear that in mind as we talk about these things of getting marketing done. So I'm going to go through, I think I initially said 5, but it might actually be 4. I don't care about the numbers. It's just the things that are going to help you the most. So the first thing you need to do is address the issues and concerns that your prospects are having. So when it comes to getting marketing done, whatever marketing you're doing, if it does not address their issues and their concerns and their problems, put it to the side. The highest priority has to be the questions that they are actually asking you. Tom and I have talked about this. Tom's one of the team members at PF. And we've talked about this so many times. Tom or one of the other team members will be like, Karen, we could write a blog on this. And we go, yeah, we could. And then we think about it and think, have we ever had an accountant ask us that question? Now, granted, there is space for things that people don't know to ask. But even still, it's if the questions that your prospects are asking you, that's what they care about. Now, you can work that to what they need to know. So if they're asking a question because they don't understand, so if they're saying, you know, do I actually need to be VAT registered, or they're saying, I'm choosing not to be VAT registered because I know that, you know, it's not good to be past that threshold. And you go, what? That's just not true. But whatever their actual concern is, get to the heart of that, because that's what they're searching for. They're not typing in accountants London, accountants Birmingham. Okay, a few people might be, but I'm guessing for you guys, not the kind of clients you want. You want the clients that are looking for answers to their questions. So one of our firms, again, in the States, we were talking to yesterday, the States have this thing called the Roth IRA. It's a very specific savings account type thing. And they had a blog post on that. And we were talking about, he said something like, well, people aren't going to be typing in Roth IRA. And we said, yes, they are. That's exactly what they're doing. And what you want is for them to keep finding your firm and your content over and over as it addresses their issues and concerns, and then let them come to you as an accountant when they're ready. So I want to refresh your memory if you have seen this, and if you haven't, I want to explain this to you. This is our progression model. We've put this together based on what we know works for accountancy firms in marketing. And if you get nothing else out of this, screenshot this and save it and use it for your marketing campaigns, because the message we have here is accountants have a habit of starting at the nothing place. Nobody knows you exist, or not nobody, but the people you want to work with you. There are a bunch of them that don't know you exist. And if you want them to leap from that to paying you a monthly fee for all this accounting and bookkeeping and management reports and the whole advisory work, a bit of a buzzword, whatever you want to call it, then you're missing some steps. Now, some people, a few people may make that big leap. Most people will follow this progression model, and they will spend loads of time building awareness and reading your blogs and getting connected with you. Then they'll spend loads of time downloading free things and attending webinars and events and reading things that you share. And then maybe they'll pay a little bit for something, maybe a training workshop or something small. And then they move to the longer term retainers or your monthly fees. And then, big projects that deal with things like bringing on business partners or splitting apart with business partners or succession or whatever it be. And this is really critical, because if you, in your marketing, skip these intermediate steps, it will be very difficult for you to build trust. They're going to go through these steps whether you have these things or not. They're going to build awareness. They're going to download free things or read your stuff. These two here are what most accountancy firms are missing: the free things and the small paid things. So any marketing campaign you're looking at doing, just think about what you have at every stage here. If you want to do a marketing campaign about the payroll services you have, now remember, always go back to their issues. What are their problems that they have about payroll? And then build awareness, write some blogs, write some content, do some posts about the issues, not about your services, about the issues. Then have some free stuff. Here's a checklist for your payroll. Here's an event we're running about payroll. You could do the same for cloud accounting or for anything. Bookkeeping, that's another one that a lot of accountants are offering to their clients alongside everything else. And maybe some of their clients don't know that that's what you do. And then you have some sort of small paid thing that people can pay £100 or £500, something small that will get them on the journey. Now, some people jump from the free stuff to the retainer, but I would still encourage you to think about what you can offer here for those who aren't ready to make the big leap yet. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you, Vipul?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, in some of what you talk about, we see it where people start small and then kind of get that trust. And then once they trust that you can do the job, and that doesn't matter what it is. It could be that, they cleaned my windows and there weren't smears on it. But whatever it is, what we are is, we're a trusted provider of services, whether as an accountant or what we do to the profession. At the end of the day, it is about you building that trust with that customer. And the moment they have that trust, they will pour their heart out to you. And
that's right.
In the sense that they'll tell you all their business problems, sometimes more than you necessarily want to know. But
true.
But nonetheless, it comes from that position of trust. And once you have that trust, it's not that they'll buy anything from you, but when they listen with that open ear rather than, oh no, I'm not sure. But and it kind of comes back from what you were saying about deadlines. Actually, if, you talked about issues and concerns, we talk about the pain. If there isn't that pain point, actually, it's very difficult to make somebody buy something that they don't actually feel that they need.
It's impossible, actually.
It's impossible. So actually, if you are addressing that issue, that concern, that pain point, it's a lot easier for them to say, actually, this improves my life.
That's right. And this is one of my favorite quotes from Steve Jobs about having a problem to solve, or I particularly like this phrasing, a wrong that you want to right. Now, they might know that wrong is there, they might not, but you're helping them to address that. So that's the book I mentioned. I'm conscious, some of you are thinking, okay, this is all great, but seriously, how do I get this stuff done? So the practical element is get the questions from your clients. All you need to do is put a list together of the questions that you get asked, the specific as possible, use their words. If they say, I don't understand why I don't have money in the bank, don't turn that into how to improve your cash flow. Call it, I don't understand why I don't have money in the bank. Use their words, use their language. I call this marketing gold dust. If you want to write the way that people will connect with you, use their words. It's easy. It's gold dust because you don't have to try so hard. You don't have to make it sound professional. It's one of my least favorite words. What does that even mean? Usually it means boring. So make it sound human. Make it sound like them. So these are a few places you're going to find these questions. Go back into your sent emails or your received emails. Look at the emails you've received from clients and prospects. I guarantee you, I've probably got 40 of them this week alone. It's only Wednesday and Monday was a bank holiday. Questions like, how do we address Google Analytics in our website? What do you guys think about SEO? Is it dead, or how do we use that? What was that plugin that you mentioned about SEO that we can use in our WordPress site? Whatever those questions are. So I suggest that just G Sheet. Keep it really simple. Get a G Sheet that everyone in the firm has access to, and every time you get a question, add it to the list. So we've got this template that we give our accelerator members. It's not rocket science. Don't bother asking me for the template because you can create it yourself. Idea and who's going to do it. Just make a list of ideas. That's all it is. It's just a list of ideas that you have and questions that you get asked. And oops, let me back up. Why is this not? There we go. And just make that list from the emails, the meetings, the phone calls. If somebody asks a great question and you think, I've heard this question before, I've answered this question before, just say, hold on just a second. That's a great question. I need to write it down, because you will forget. That happens to me all the time. I do it, and my clients are used to this. I'll be like, oh, hang on. And I just jot it down, actual pen and paper, actual notebook there. If I'm out on a walk in the woods and I think of a great question, I put it on my phone. So phone calls, meetings, events, just any conversations. Get those questions, put them in a list, get the whole team to do that. That's your core. That's your core for getting marketing done, is every content you do is based on those questions, those issues, those problems. Now, whether you do it in a video or a blog post or whatever, we can talk about that, but at least get those questions put together. And it will inspire you, because you'll be like, oh, I can answer that. That's easy enough. One of the things I've been encouraging firms to do is, after you've read the book, get the whole team together. I'm presuming most of you have a team of accountants, and just do this. Just say, guys, bring up your phones, bring your laptops. Let's look at the emails that you've gotten, the meetings you've had, brainstorm. We've had firms that have gotten a list of 80 blog posts, really good topics that they could write from one hour session that they had with the team. And when you do that, you're involving them in your marketing. The worst thing you can do in your marketing is try and do it all yourself without involving them. They need to be part of this. Now, you may not need to do this straight away. You may need to work up to it, but that is a great way to get good content that you can share. So that's the first thing, is issues. The second thing I want to encourage you to do, and this is your goal, so don't panic if you feel like you can't do this yet, but you need to make it your goal of creating something new once a week. just once a week. It could be a blog post, it could be a video, it could be a social post, although it's a little bit cheating because that's so easy. But anything new that's actually content you're creating, and ideally it's based on these questions. So when you get a question from somebody, quickly record a video. Just do it on your iPhone or something. It doesn't have to be rocket science. I keep telling accountants who have, 10 followers on Twitter, and they're like, oh, I can't put this video out. I'm like, listen, in the kindest way I can say this, the whole world this is not going to go viral tomorrow. So practice, just put out your video. Use Facebook Live or Instagram stories. It's a great way to just practice with video. We're always talking about how, your children, sons, daughters, grandchildren, whatever, 6 and 7-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 15, they're all used to video. They do it all the time. I use it so much with PF that I've gotten to the point where when somebody calls me, I'm looking at the phone being like, why can't I see? Oh, right. Oh, this is just a call. Get used to video. And that's one of the things that you could do. If you're not ready for video, write a blog. It doesn't have to be 2,000 words. Just create something, anything, once a week. Now, I do want to address this. Well, what do I do? The blog, is it video? What do I do? In a sense, the format is not as important as the issue. So I've had accountants say, well, Karen, are PDF guides a good idea? Do I need to be on social? That's all secondary to what are the issues, what are the questions, and then you choose your format. And you choose your format based on the best way to get the answer across. So if the question is about cloud accounting and some specific detail, and you need to do a screen share, I had one of my clients recommend Loom, which is kind of a screen share thing. You can do it again on your phone. If you've got an iPhone, you just swipe up and there's a screen recording option. And it just records the screen in your voice. I've used it tons of times for the team. It takes 2 seconds. I also have Camtasia, which is a video production software on your computer, and you can quickly record the webcam or the webcam and the screenshot together. So create something every week, one new thing. Make that your goal. These are just a few tiny things. There's all kinds of things that you could do. There's infographics and events and webinars and all this, but if it's one of these things at least that you're creating every week and you're building on that, you are building trust by doing that. So as a reminder, when you're building your content, ideally you're moving people through this progression model. So think of your topic, whatever it is, whatever the issue that these people have. Maybe they're thinking about merging companies, and you need to write content about that. You need to offer a free workshop, whatever, maybe a paid workshop, those kinds of things that people are going to move through, and you want to move them through in that process. And I also want to encourage you to set a public deadline. Like, tell the world you're going to do this. I was talking to a firm in Canada yesterday, and he said, yeah, I probably need to send out an email or write a blog post. And I said, well, send out an email and say, we are writing this blog post on this talk, and it will be ready for you on the 31st of May or whatever. And I said, even if nobody comes back and says, hey, where's that blog post? I've been waiting for it. I guarantee you guys have a very high sense of responsibility as accountants. I know I do as well. If you say you'll do it, you will do it. But you got to put it out publicly in some way. Put it on Twitter, put it on Facebook. Say, this is going to come tomorrow. And then you will, and then just do it. This is the great part about marketing. It does not have to be perfect. Matter of fact, it's good if it's not perfect, because then they realize you're human. So that's the second thing. Third thing, and in some ways, this is almost, well, it can't be more important than your client issues, but when it comes to getting marketing done, this is one of the big kickers. One of the things that will prevent you the most is getting support for the little tiny stuff that takes forever. Stuff like website management. Maybe you write a blog. Who's going to put it on your website, pick an image, tag it, categorize it, put SEO keywords in, and publish it and share it on social? That could take 3 to 4 hours per blog post, especially if you're not as familiar with it. Actually posting the blogs, getting little graphic design stuff done, posting on social, all of this stuff, you don't have to have this massive experience in marketing to be able to do this. You need to have some familiarity with WordPress and social and things. But I would encourage you to get help, either outsourced or insourced. We'll talk about that. But get help on this stuff so you can focus on the content and answering the questions that only you can do. There's nobody in the world who can answer questions about accounting or any business question that they have like you guys can. So I would maintain that this stuff does take way too much of your time. You can do it if you want to, but if you say you're the managing partner or owner, one of the directors, and you're spending 4 hours on a blog post, writing it, publishing it, you could be using 40 minutes to write it and let somebody else focus on that stuff. We do this outsourced. There's lots of companies. Seth's just asked about the name of the firm we use for graphic design. So there's a company called Design Pickle. They do unlimited small graphic design, literally unlimited. You cannot send them too much stuff. And they turn it around really quickly. You pay a monthly fee. And then anytime you need anything, you just need an image for your email, an image for social. You want a custom image for your blog post. It's really helpful. They don't do the high level stuff like designing website landing pages, but you could get them to design sections and then you send that to your website people and get them to do it. We do have a code that gives you a discount, which if it's not on one of these slides, just drop me an email. By the way, if you have anything that you want to ask me, think about later, info@theprofitablepirm.com comes to me. I will reply. So if you want that, that discount code, let me know. You can also look at hiring. Hire an intern or an assistant or somebody who's learning marketing at your local college or university. We've done that. We have a lot of accountancy firms who have done that. The really important thing is do not hire this person and then leave them stranded. You've got to pay some attention to what you actually want them to do. I mean, even this list of things you could have, but they're gonna ask you what it is you want them to do. So, you know, have that ready. And if you need to ask us about that, let me know. We have a blog post all about, you know, the things you need to ask for and some of the skills you could look for. You can use freelancers. There's a people per hour. You guys have probably looked at that before. Challenge with that is some of them are good, some of them are terrible. You're just going to have to give it a go. We've gotten to the point with people per hour where there's a few that we know and trust and we think are great. There's some that we've tried that have been a fail, but hey, it only costs 30 quid or whatever it be. So look at using freelancers for some of this stuff, you know, get them to design things. I'd be careful with social media posting. I think you really need to get somebody either within your firm or someone who knows what they're doing, because I've heard too many horror stories of people who just, you know, outsource that away to some randomer and it was just awful and it gave a bad impression of their firm. Yeah, but use freelance. Sorry, go ahead, Vipul.
That's what I was going to say is that once it's out there, it's hard to take back. Whereas things that you're it's under your control. Like, oh, I'll put this on the website. You've approved it before it goes. So
that's right. Yeah. You can also outsource. You guys know we do that at PF. There's plenty of other people who do those marketing things for you. That's the Design Pickle. I can't remember what the code is. I'll look it up. Yeah?
Claire's struggling with the sound, so I don't know.
Anyone else struggling with the sound, or is it coming okay?
I'm hearing it fine, but just in case you need to be closer.
Yeah, sometimes that happens depending on your internet connection. I've got a good number of people that are fine.
Most people seem fine, so.
Yeah, it does happen. It does happen. It'll be recorded as well, so if you're really struggling with it, you can catch the recording. But yeah, Design Pickle's great. I've actually had a lot of accountants get really excited about this, and then they find that the pricing is, I think it's $300 or $400 a month. So that's, you know, 250 quid a month, something like that. I would encourage you to begin to turn your mind on what you pay for marketing and be willing to, I mean, 250 quid a month, guys, like that is nothing for what you can get and what you can do. When you think about the fact that social media posts are 86%, I think it is, more likely to be read or viewed if it has an image. And I guarantee you, even more likely than that, if it's a custom image that has your logo in it or your colors, it's a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't you? And one of the things that I see accountants doing is resisting on paying for stuff, partly because you're not sure what you're going to get or you don't know if you're going to use it. Sometimes, give it a try for a month. I remember the first time we tried Design Pickle and we were like, really unlimited? Really? And their onboarding said, literally, you cannot send it now. They said, if you send us 50 requests in a day, we might need to send you a list of what we're working on and you tell us priorities, but we will just do it. We will do all of these things and we will keep fixing it until we get it right. And as I said, we've got outsourced marketing packages. We can do the content for you. We can do the design. We can build landing pages. We can manage your website. We can do your social. All of that is possible through us or somebody else. I always say this. I don't care if you use us or someone else, but make sure that you get help with the things that would take you too much time. The fourth thing I've got here is, in order to motivate you to do more marketing, you've got to be tracking things. And I don't mean how many leads did we get from Twitter, that's not how tracking works. That's not how ROI works. That's just not how it works anymore. You've got to have the whole picture. Like I said with Ali's video, his video did not generate the leads on its own. The video plus their new rebrand, plus their website, plus the 10 years of a connection he had with one of these leads, all of that comes together. So what you're doing is you're tracking everything you can possibly track, and then you're looking for patterns. Because as you look at patterns over time, you begin to see and get excited about, wow, so the more I blog, the more visitors we have to our website. And actually the specific people filling in this form has gone up a little. That's interesting. Oh, I let the blog drop for a couple months and that has dropped 3 months later. You've got to look at it in the long term, minimum 6 months. Do not start looking for patterns before 6 months. It will throw you off. But once you have at least 6 months of data, then you can start looking for the patterns there. We've got this in our content plan template. Again, not rocket science. We just, excuse me, we just threw together some ideas, Google Analytics from your website, social media followers, likes, retweets, etc., email, clients, proposals. Just start with some of those and then track the numbers and look at them and see what happens when you write a blog post, record a video, run an event, and see what the patterns are in relation to that. These are just a few of the things we recommend you consider tracking. There's no right or wrong answer, but hey, you could just screenshot a couple of these and go, right, okay, I'm going to start tracking these things. Start tracking them straight away before you start writing any content or doing any new things. Better to start with your 0 numbers and see slight improvements than to wait until you've done it and then try and track it back the way. So a couple of things you could track. What pages are people visiting? How long do they take on the pages? What's your bounce rate, which is, people who come and then leave? What pages is a bounce rate on? So if you have this really high bounce rate on one of your pages, you might want to redesign that or change it. What's the page they go to next? So they come to the home page and everybody goes to the about page next. That tells you something. What's the highest performing page? What's the blog post that people have read more than any other blog post? We have a firm that said they wrote some blog post about Bitcoin currency or something, and he said it had more views than any other blog post they'd ever done, and it was because the specific title was so relevant to what a couple people were asking, and he said, I can track at least 10 leads directly to that blog post. Again, remember the big picture. It's not only that blog post in isolation, but that was their trigger point. That was the moment at which somebody said, right, that's it. I'm getting in touch with these guys as accountants. That's what you're looking for, is trigger points. Not leads, trigger points. Social media, how many followers, how many likes, how many shares, what's your highest performing post, how many messages and direct messages are you getting? We give these to the clients we do social media, outsource social media for. They get a report every month with all this stuff, and then we have a meeting and we talk about it. Why are there fewer retweets? Why is this the highest performing post? How can we do more posts like that? and it helps you to be involved in your marketing. Email, how many, I mean, we won't even go into the GDPR thing. The short version is you got to get people to opt in. You have to get people to say, yes, I want to hear from you on these specific things. You can't bundle it together. If you have questions on that, talk to Vipul, talk to us. But you've got to be doing something with this. It is a good thing. You know, I'm not going to go so far as to say I'm excited about it, which some people have said. But I do think it's a good thing to have your database full of people who want to hear from you. That is a good thing. But know how many people you have. Know how many, what your segments. Is it by niche? Is it by location? Is it by, you know, whatever it is that you can send custom emails to them. And of course, things like inquiries and proposals, and, you know, you want to track how many proposals went out. How long was it before they accepted? Was it 2 hours? Was it 2 days? Was it 2 years? You got to track this stuff so that you know how long your buyer cycle is and how many calls you're having and how many inquiries you get and what's the percentage. This one is something that accountants often track, but if you're not tracking all this other stuff, you can't see the patterns of why this stuff is happening. So look for those patterns, and look for the story that it's telling you. And if you're not sure, ask somebody, ask us, ask someone who knows what they're doing in marketing to say, this is what I think is this a good conclusion I'm coming to, and get their feedback on it. We do have, I mentioned the accelerator, we do have a 12-week program so you can actually get stuff done. If you want to talk to us about it, you can, but even more importantly, we have this free Facebook group. And what I love about this Facebook group is accountants talking about what they're doing in marketing. If you want to get inspired to get marketing done, Tom, can you put the link to the masterclass Facebook group in there? This is a great place. People ask things like, hey, what CRM is everyone else using? Or this is a blog post I wrote. What do you guys think? And I found that people in here are going, wow, okay, maybe I could, because it's a safe place. It's all accountants. You're not going to get sold to by anyone else. Anyone who tries to join this who's not an accountant, we either need to trust them implicitly, and that's very rare. I think there's 2 or 3 people on here that I trust implicitly to be helpful to accountants and not salesy. But it's all accountants. So you're in a safe place to say, here, I tried a video, and what do you guys think? And you don't have to worry that it's going out to the whole world there. So that I would encourage you, that or some other one, doesn't have to be ours, but some place where you're going to every day or every couple days be like, oh yeah, that's an idea. I could do that. And I want you guys to be excited and inspired to do marketing, not dreading it and feeling like you're doing everything wrong. You're not doing everything wrong. There's just a focus that you need to have based on the issues that your clients have and the format you're going to do that in, and then keep doing it and keep tracking it. And that's what we want to encourage you to do. You could also hire a marketing person. We've got a whole session on that in the marketing masterclass, so I'm not going to belabor that one, but it's a great thing to do. I think your ultimate goal needs to be to have at least one marketing person and ultimately a whole marketing team. That's your dream goal in the end. But work towards it by doing these small things, and just take it one step at a time. And if anything during this later causes you to go, I'm just not sure about that, drop us a line. We're happy to answer it. We love questions because then we turn it into content.
That's fantastic, Karen. Almost pretty much on time. In terms of questions, obviously, if anyone has any burning questions, please put them in the chat box, because I know Karen would love to answer them. I mean, from our point of view, you know, we've not that long ago, probably 12 months ago, become clients of yours, Karen. And, you know, it certainly, from my point of view, whilst we did a lot of stuff, it meant we did it more consistently. And I think for us, that was a big driver for us getting you and your team involved. But
I suppose one of the things we could look at is questions that you get asked from accountants about marketing. I'm sure that happens from time to time. What would you say is maybe one of the top ones?
I think often the challenge is the team or the client firms, some have got their own marketing departments, but quite often the task passes to somebody within the team, whether that's a partner or a manager, or if it's something to do with social media. Oh, you look like you know technology. Oh, can you do this? And that's on top of their normal job. And I think the challenge is making sure that you use your in-house people to greatest effect, that they're actually coming up with the ideas, or they're reviewing the ideas and then kind of almost putting their own slant on things based on the conversations that they're having with clients and prospects.
Yeah, that's right. Because one of the worst things you can do is assign it to somebody in the firm and then leave them stranded. You would never do that if it was accounts or payroll or bookkeeping. You wouldn't just go, well, you figure it out. You know, we've gave you a few lists and stuff and we hope it goes well. Especially when you think about if you bring in this marketing person, or if you have a few marketing people, that a lot of times they are kind of left stranded, because if it's accounts, they've got 25 or 100 people that they can ask. But when it's marketing, if they're just left stranded, then your marketing's not going to be effective. So think about your marketing person as somebody that you need to personally invest in. And then if you're the owner or director, you need to personally invest in your own marketing training. Not necessarily that you need to go into detail on how to post a blog on WordPress, although that's not a bad thing to know, but know enough so that you can at least direct people how to do it. Because if you just say, well, just do social, and then you come 3 weeks later and go, what? That's not what we wanted. No, stop. Then that's not going to work well. You want to encourage them along, and every day be going, okay, well, I probably wouldn't have posted it that way. Try using this word next time. It's not the end of the world. You don't have to delete tweets and things. I mean, unless it's completely morally wrong or something in some way. You know, it's not the end of the world to make a slight mistake. Just learn and move with it. And getting buy-in from your team is definitely really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, fine, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for that. I mean, I'm just going to very quickly just sort of close up. Bear with me a moment. Hopefully. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to wait. We're almost there, and just a final piece from us, and that is, of course, this is available for everybody to view the recording afterwards. So for those that weren't able to tune in, you'll get that. But our next one is on the 21st with Auto Entry, who are an OCR solution. And sort of just a final bit about us, we do accounts outsourcing. And so if you're looking to grow your business, then come and talk to us. But I really appreciate, first of all, Karen, you sparing your time this morning to share your thoughts, and to the audience out there for coming and joining us for undoubtedly what's a busy day. So thank you all, and thanks again, and hopefully talk to you all soon.
Thanks, Vipul. Thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.